Do you remember the first time you thought about retirement? Maybe it was years ago when you were just starting out in your career, or maybe it was when you saw a friend or colleague retire, carefree, happy, secure, and you thought, I want to do that too. I'm going to do it right. You worked for decades. You saved money. You may have even consulted financial professionals to build a strategy. You were told, be responsible, save, invest, and when the time comes, you'll be able to enjoy life. But what if I told you that all that effort could be in vain? That one mistake, just one, could destroy everything you've spent years building? That thousands of people who were once confident in their future are now living in fear because they didn't know what you know now? This mistake is not an accident. It's not just bad luck. It's a trap that millions of people around the world fall into. Financial consultants don't talk about it openly. The government prefers to remain silent. Banks and insurance companies, they only benefit when people don't know the truth. And the worst thing is that it can happen to anyone. I'm going to tell you about 5 mistakes that destroy your retirement savings. Mistakes that lead to people who once dreamed of traveling, carefree days, and a comfortable retirement ending up on the brink of poverty. Mistake number 3 is the worst of all. When people find out about it, they are shocked. How could I not know this? They ask. Why didn't anyone warn me? But it's often too late. Watch this video to the end. This may be the most important video you will ever see. Ready to find out the truth? Then let's get started. Imagine 2 people. 2 friends, colleagues. They have worked side by side their entire lives. They started out together, earned the same salary, made similar career moves. They discussed retirement together, made plans, dreamed. They both saved money. Both put money into a retirement account. Both waited for the day when they could quit their jobs and finally start living for themselves. But then 30, 40 years pass, and that day arrives. They both retire, and that's when everything changes. The first person opens a bottle of champagne. A new stage in his life begins. He has enough money to travel, to help his children and grandchildren, to pursue his favorite hobbies. He can finally relax. And the second one? The second one feels anxious. He checks his account and realizes the terrible truth. There is almost no money. He realizes that his savings will not last as many years as he expected. He begins to worry. What if he has to look for a job again? What if he had to cut his expenses to the bare minimum? But how did that happen? They did everything the same way. Or did they? The mistake was made years ago when they could still change something. But the second person didn't know what he was doing wrong. He was just following the standard advice he had heard all his life. And now it's too late. But you are luckier. You are watching this video right now, and you have a chance to find out the truth. You have the opportunity to avoid the fate of thousands of pensioners who lost their savings without even realizing how it happened. I will tell you about 5 critical mistakes that are quietly depriving people of their pension money, and when we get to the third mistake, you will want to check your account immediately, because this is the mistake that ruins lives. It creeps up on people unnoticed, and by the time they realize they have fallen into a trap, it is already too late. But let's start with the first one, because you may already be making it right now. Mistake number 1, trusting the wrong people. Let's get one thing straight. Not everyone who gives you financial advice really wants you to succeed. Think about how many times you've been told, "This bank is safe, just leave your money there." "This mutual fund gives you a steady income, don't worry." Your financial advisor knows everything, just follow his recommendations. But here's the truth. Not all banks care about you. Not all mutual funds actually work for you. And not all financial advisors put your interests above their commissions. A story that happens over and over again. A person goes to a bank, decides to put money in a safe pension plan. He is promised interest, assured that the money is safe. 10, 20 years pass, and suddenly it turns out that the interest has been eaten up by inflation, hidden fees, and erroneous investments. But then it's too late to change anything. Financial advisors, they can be useful if you know who to trust, but the reality is that many advisors receive a commission on the sale of certain financial products. This means that their advice is often not aimed at your benefit, but at their own profit. A simple example. 2 retirees in the U.S. followed different paths. The first listened to an independent financial advisor, one who did not receive a commission for selling certain funds. He studied the market, chose the right instruments, protected his money. The second trusted a bank consultant who recommended the most reliable pension plan. The plan turned out to be a trap. It ate up most of his money in hidden fees. The result? The first pensioner lived comfortably on the interest. The second one tried to figure out where his money was. How to avoid this mistake? Don't trust the first consultant you come across. Find out if they receive a commission on sales of financial products. Research the terms of banks and investment funds yourself. If something sounds too good, it's most likely a trap. Remember, if someone makes money on your investments, you can lose. And this was the mildest of the 5 mistakes. It gets worse. Mistake number 2 is a cunning enemy. Many people don't even realize they've fallen into its trap until it's too late. Mistake number 2, living on savings, not income. How many times have you been told the main thing is to save money for retirement? Since childhood, we have been taught, work hard, save money, put it all in the bank or a pension fund, and enjoy life after 60. But what if this advice is outdated? What if it is a trap that has destroyed the financial future of millions of retirees? The problem is that many people retire with a certain amount in their account and start living by spending this money. They are confident that what they have saved will be enough. But as the years go by, it turns out that the balance is melting faster than expected. What happened? Inflation. Your $100,000 from 20 years ago is not the same $100,000 today, and in 10 years it will be worth even less. Rising expenses. Retirement doesn't mean your expenses stop. On the contrary, medical bills, utilities, and unexpected expenses can be higher than ever. Long life. At 60, it seems like you have 20 years left, but today's retirees often live to be 90 plus. If you don't think about your income, you may find yourself in a situation where you simply don't have enough money. True financial independence is not just saving money. It's creating a system that generates income even when you're not working. A real-life example. 2 people retire with the same savings, $500,000. The first spends $40,000 a year. He is sure that this money will last for 12 to 15 years, but a crisis happens, inflation grows, bills increase, and after 10 years he realizes the money is almost at zero. Now he has to drastically cut expenses. Instead of a comfortable pension, he counts every dollar. The second creates passive income. He invests part of the money in assets that bring 6 to 7% per year. This gives him $30,000 to $40,000 annually without affecting the main capital. After 10 years, his savings have not decreased, but even increased. How to avoid this mistake? Don't live by eating up your savings. Instead, create passive sources of income: dividends, rent, bonds, rental business. Plan your income so that it covers your expenses. Don't rely only on your pension. It may be lower than expected. Think of money as a tool, not just a sum in a bank account. Your goal is to make it work for you, not just slowly disappear. And that was just the second mistake. Mistake number 3 is the most devastating. It's a financial trap that has driven thousands of retirees into poverty, and almost no one talks about it. Are you ready to find out what it is? Mistake number 3. Not planning for taxes. Most people think, I'm retiring, so my taxes will go down. That's a lie. Thousands of retirees around the world make a fatal mistake. They don't take into account that their pension payments and investment income are taxed. As a result, they lose tens of thousands of dollars simply because they didn't plan for their taxes in advance. How does this trap work? Imagine this. You've saved $500,000 in a retirement fund, like a 401k or IRA. You're happy. It's your money that you've been saving for decades. You plan to withdraw $40,000 a year and live comfortably. But here's what they didn't tell you. That money is taxed as ordinary income. When you withdraw $40,000, the government takes its share, and suddenly you're left with only $30,000 or less. If you have other income, pension, rent, investments, this can increase your tax bracket. As a result, you'll have to pay even more. Some withdrawals can lead to higher health insurance rates, like Medicare in the U.S. This is a hidden trap that few people think about. Real stories that should alert you. Story 1. A 65-year-old man planned to live on his savings. He decided to immediately withdraw $100,000 from his pension fund to pay off his mortgage. Mistake. That year, he was in a high tax bracket and paid $30,000 in taxes. If he had withdrawn $20,000 a year, he would have saved almost $15,000. Story 2. A 70-year-old woman didn't know the government required her to start taking required minimum distributions, RMDs, from her retirement account. She didn't withdraw the money on time, and the following year she was charged a 50% penalty on the amount she missed. How to avoid this mistake? Use tax breaks. For example, a Roth IRA in the U.S. allows you to withdraw money tax-free if you do everything correctly. Distribute your income wisely. Don't withdraw large amounts at once. This can push you into a high tax bracket. Consult a tax professional. Tax planning is more important than investing. It determines how much money you actually get. You think that was scary? Wait. Mistake number 4 is a silent killer of retirement savings. It erodes savings quietly, year after year, and most people don't even realize that their money is going down the drain. Do you want to know how thousands of pensioners lose everything without even realizing it? Then let's continue. Mistake number 4, improper expense management. Many people think that their spending habits will not change after retirement. They are sure that they will be able to simply cut back and live more modestly. But reality says otherwise. In the early years of retirement, expenses often increase rather than decrease. This is one of the most dangerous traps that destroys the financial future of retirees. Why are retirement expenses higher than expected? Additional free time. When you work, you have a limited number of hours in which you can spend money. But when you retire, you have a lot of time, and suddenly new expenses appear. Travel, entertainment, hobbies, home repairs. Rising prices and inflation. Money that seemed enough 10 years ago loses its purchasing power over time, and the prices of food, utilities, and medical care continue to rise. Support from relatives. Many retirees start helping their children and grandchildren, paying for their education, housing, and medical expenses. This looks like a temporary expense, but in the long run, it can ruin even those who are well prepared. Medical expenses. In youth, it seems that they are not so important, but with age, health requires more and more investment. Even if you have good insurance, unexpected medical bills can eat up a significant part of your savings. Real stories that will make you think. First story, a man retired with $1 million. He was sure that this would be enough for the rest of his life. In the first 5 years, he began to actively travel, help his children and grandchildren make expensive gifts. He did not notice how his savings decreased by half. At 75, he had to sell his house and move to a small apartment because there was no more money. Second story. A 67-year-old woman retired and decided to finally take care of herself. She signed up for expensive workouts, started going to spas and expensive resorts often. She thought she was just pampering herself a little, but before she knew it, her expenses exceeded her income. 10 years later, she found herself in debt and now has to work part-time to pay the bills. How to avoid this mistake? Create a detailed budget. Don't just guess. Calculate your actual monthly expenses. Keep an eye on inflation. Plan your budget so that you factor in an annual price increase of at least 3 to 5%. Limit support from relatives. Yes, you want to help your children and grandchildren, but if it ruins your financial future, they won't be able to help you later. Plan for medical expenses in advance. Good insurance is important, but it's also important to have a financial cushion for unexpected situations. But the worst mistake is yet to come. Mistake number 5 is something that can make you poor, even with a good income. This is the problem that causes many retirees to lose all their savings in just a few years. Do you want to know what it is? Then, let's continue. Mistake number 5, lack of a long-term strategy. Most people believe that if they have savings and a pension, they are financially protected. They think that the money will last for the rest of their lives. But statistics show the opposite. 70% of retirees spend their savings faster than expected, and by the age of 80, they are left with virtually no funds. How does this happen? Why do even large savings disappear quickly? Lack of an asset allocation plan. People do not understand how exactly to spend money so that it does not run out ahead of time. They just live according to the situation and do not think that at 80 to 90 years old, expenses can increase sharply. Incorrect investments. Some are afraid to invest and keep all their money in cash, losing it due to inflation. Someone, on the contrary, invests too aggressively and loses capital on risky investments. Lack of a strategy for protecting against unexpected expenses. Medical bills, emergencies, and the need to pay for care can all add up to large sums of money that retirees are simply not prepared to pay. Debt obligations. Many retire with debts, mortgages, loans, unpaid bills. These payments can quickly ruin a person if they have not factored them into their financial plan. Real stories that can happen to anyone. First story. A 72-year-old man had saved his entire life and had accumulated $800,000. He decided to keep it in a bank account and not invest it, to be on the safe side. But after 15 years, inflation had taken its toll. His money had depreciated and his medical bills were mounting. By the time he was 90, he had almost nothing left. Second story. A 68-year-old woman trusted a financial advisor who convinced her to invest most of her money in high-yield stocks. In 2008, the stock market crashed and she lost half of her savings. She ended up selling her house and moving to a small apartment. How to avoid this mistake? Create a clear strategy for allocating money. Plan how much you will spend each year and on what. Protect yourself from inflation. Keep some of your capital in assets that grow in value, such as index funds. Insure yourself against major expenses. Health insurance and an emergency fund will help you avoid going broke due to unexpected bills. Avoid unnecessary risks. Don't put all your money in one asset. Diversify your investments. Retirement is not the end of life, but the beginning of a new chapter. But to make it happy and carefree, you need to avoid these 6 mistakes. Underestimating life expectancy. Ignoring inflation. Incorrect tax planning. Mistakes in managing expenses. No financial strategy. Social isolation. If you think about all these aspects in advance, your retirement will not only be stable, it will be full, happy, and long. Do you agree? Then it's time to act.